Hello everybody, welcome back to Spa PR Takes 10. We have the absolute pleasure of welcoming Alexis Day to our Instagram Live interview today. I know Alexis is very busy, so it's really great that we have the pleasure of having her here. She is going to introduce herself. I'm just going to wait for her to come on, but just a bit of a summary. She is a makeup, hair, nail extraordinaire. She has a really impressive black book of contacts and celebrity clients, so we're really lucky to have her here. So she's just requested to join, so let's get her on. Should load in a minute. Hello.
Hi.
We've got you on. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thanks. How are you?
Good, thanks. I know you're a bit worried about getting a live with us, but you've
I
got
am. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you, we can hear you loud and clear.
Great.
Awesome.
How are you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm back in the office today, so it's a bit of a different backdrop to what I'm used to, but it's nice.
Oh, wow. How is it going back in the office? Does it feel strange or?
Do you know what? I'm used to it now. It's fine. It's so nice to see people. I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, 100%. I think when you're, especially in what we do as creatives, we're freelance, or even if we're repped or however it is, we're often solo until we're on a job, and then it's super social and we see all these great other creatives and we're all working to that common thing, and we're all vibing off each other. And to not be able to do that for more than 6 months has been quite hard, just to be around people in real life. Obviously this is great, technology is great, all of that, but I don't think you can beat seeing someone in person and just bounce off their energy. And I know we can't really hug right now, but we can do the elbow thing. And
yeah, you're so right. Having kind of all the Spa PR team together has just made such a difference in our, creativity. But thank you for joining us. I know that
oh my gosh,
we're busy this week.
no, thank you so much for asking. This is really exciting, a little nerve-wracking. Everyone that knows me knows that I'm Instagram live, what?
No, it's awesome. I think it's a nice time to start. So maybe could you tell us a little bit about your career to date, maybe how you came into makeup artistry?
Yeah, sure. So I've been fully freelance working for myself since about 2010. And growing up, there was no internet, there was no social media, there was no YouTube, here's how to be a makeup artist and whatnot. There was none of that. So I knew that I loved working with hair and I loved playing with makeup and sort of getting my friends ready. I didn't know that you could make a career out of it. It seems silly now when you think of all the magazines and everything I used to read and pore over all these amazing fashion pictures. I never realised that there was a team behind those to create that, because it wasn't discussed. It was very, and to an extent still is in certain sectors, very much who you know and who you're connected with. So it definitely wasn't a known career path. And I knew that you could be a hairdresser in a salon, or you could work on a beauty counter or be a beauty therapist. I did not know there was this whole session world. And so I just tried to avoid working in an office and doing a 9-to-5 life for as long as possible. And I accidentally, well, I did a long way round. Like I did a PR degree, I went traveling, and then I was working for a company, and we did my first PR campaign for breast cancer campaign. And my bosses said to me, oh, would you like to organise a celebrity? And it was very early days of having celebrity endorsement, that sort of stuff. And on the day, on the set, I was like, oh, this celebrity has their own hair and makeup artist. And it was like, ding, 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 this is a job. This is this hidden secret club. And I spoke with the artist, and she was really helpful, and she was like, yes, there's totally a career out of this, go to makeup school, get your training. She really sort of encouraged getting a proper education in makeup. In makeup, you don't need to be qualified, but I genuinely think it's like a good thing to do. You get a really good grounding. You can do an MVQ or BA or whatnot. And then, yeah, I started using all my free time doing tests, networking with photographers, trying to find anybody. And again, this was all before Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, where literally my dog could be, a makeup artist like these days, because it's that widely known. Whereas, 15, 20 years ago, it really was much of a who's who, kind of not necessarily on purpose secretive, but you definitely had to have people in the right places. And if you didn't, there were some barriers to you getting in there until it
quite
was
an exclusive type of thing.
Yeah. And and it's great with things like social media now and YouTube channels. There's all this content, and we're all teaching ourselves how to do so many things. But it took me like a roundabout way to start. I suppose, had a career change, if you like, in like my early 20s. And then I got made redundant from my job, and then I thought, right, well, I'll go freelance and give it 6 months and see what happens. And 2020, I'm still here, still going, and having a lovely time. Apart from COVID this year for everyone, but yeah. So that's kind of like, it's been a roundabout way, and I've been fortunate. I did a lot of music at the beginning of my career. I kind of agreed to anything and everything. I was so excited to just get my hands dirty and figure out where I wanted to be, really. And loads and loads of music videos, some tours, red carpet appearances, and then that progressed on to Fashion Week. Sort of working globally on the sort of Fashion Weeks.
I bet that's quite intense.
That is so intense.
Yeah.
But also it's like a baptism of fire. It's really fun, and I think what it teaches you so much. It's almost like masterclasses in makeup or hair, and also styling for any stylists that get involved as well, and nail artists. You forge these amazing friendships with people because you're all terrified. You're all in different countries where you don't know the metro system, you don't know the buses, you might not know the language, you don't know what's going on. Things are changing on a nightly basis. Your call times are 3 a.m, and you're doing it for the love of this, this crazy job that we do, especially in fashion. And then you get to see this craftsmanship from the designers and the dressmakers. Like Couture Week is one of my favorite highlights, just to see these artisans and what they've created, and these that's always been a real excitement to do that, and to find another bunch of people. And like I said earlier, about it's quite aside from Fashion Week and aside for those things, it's quite a solo world. So it's good to, in a way, I've made some of my strongest friendships and support network through Fashion Week. And, we've done the shows for like 10, 11 years now, but we're friends outside of it, and we just happen to meet. And then that's really nice way of, if I can't do a job, I can recommend it to one of my group, or they can do the same, and we can kind of keep each other afloat through the rest of the year. So a bit like, we don't work in an office, so we don't have a colleague. If we're sick, we don't have someone. So we then have this like network that we've built up of trusted people that we know you can work under pressure. There's 100 models backstage. There's people are screaming, shouting. You've got 4 minutes. One model comes running in from another show that overran and traffic was bad. And then, 20 of you pounce on her or him, probably not now because of the new rule, but, like it would be this, but it sharpens your skills so much that you come out of Fashion Week and the rest of the year you're kind of flying because you've elevated yourself so well. It's also brutal. Like, it's very character building. You'll get released from a show and you won't know why. There'll be no explanation. There often isn't time. It's just you've been released and you think, oh, is it me? It could be any reason. It could be model count. It could be change of venue. It could be anything, but you don't know. So it does prepare you for those jobs that you might not, you might lose a client that you've been working with for a couple of years, but again, you don't know why. And fashion week's a really good grounding for all of those things that happen to you in your career later on as well. So it's not for everyone, I must say. There are times, you know, certainly in the beginning, I thought, I don't know if I can, this is quite a lot, you know, and then you develop that thick skin. And I think that's part of it when you are freelance or when you're working for yourself, you do need to have an element of a thick skin. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously you kind of came into this industry before social media and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But for any kind of aspiring makeup artists of today, what would be kind of your top tips for them on how they can get involved?
So I think one of the great things is that it's no longer such an exclusive club. So before, you know, it definitely was a who's who, and to an extent financially, you know, the courses are quite expensive, or it costs a lot to get your portfolio together. It costs not just in money, but in time, and sometimes trying to juggle real life and bills and create images that are worthy of getting you to that next step. Like let's be real, it's not cheap to do that. So things like the YouTube how-tos or the influencers are saying that's a really great way to kind of bring your skills up. And then I think I do believe in makeup education. Hair is a much stricter standard, and I think that is partly because generally you have to have had thorough training in hair before you're let loose on a client. You know, obviously once you cut, that hair's not coming back unless you're putting a wig on or extensions or colour. You know, you have to be really careful with colour. So with makeup, it's a much looser, broader freedom. So I do encourage people to do a proper course. There's lots of one-day tasters which like are great, but there are London College of Fashion MVQs that you can do at night school, which is what I did way back when, and like they're 2 years, but they're really, really thorough. They give you a good theory also about your historical periods that could be really useful later on down the line, about knowing your references and like working out how they can help you create a really great modern take on whether it's a Victorian hairstyle or a look or 50s, and just to really not have that knowledge, because you don't learn that through assisting. But then assisting, I would definitely say, it used to be the traditional route for a lot of people to be someone's first assistant for like 3-4 years, and I think that's still valid for sure. The industry's changing all the time, definitely more since digital, but I think for me assisting was invaluable. I learned I was never anybody's first assistant for a long period of time. I did act as a first for a number of artists on shows who I've got great relationships with still, and I think that helped me develop my own style, because you get to see this incredible artist who's got years of experience in all scenarios and how they work, and you can almost cherry pick the best bits that they're doing, add them to your own. You know, you might pick up some bad habits too, but at the same time you'll be learning some shortcuts, and then you can blend it all into your own style. So I think assisting is still really good. I guess, you know, it is the way I see things are happening at the minute. People are becoming brands in their own right, and that's great. So if there is a niche that you have, if you're really good at special effects, or if line work, whether it's a geometric eye or something like that, like really, really hone those skills. And, you know, if you've got a channel, then go for it. I think it's an interesting one whether you decide do you want to be an influencer style of artist and just appeal to others on that mass market scale, or do you want to be in theatres, do you want to be in films? Like at the beginning when you're starting out, I'd say try everything, but if you're really tech savvy and social media savvy, like that's great, and it's definitely a money earner. If you're really into fashion, then, you know, kind of stick down that fashion route, assist everybody, try for the shows, work really hard, agree to assist on the jobs that are unpaid as well as paid. You know, unfortunately not everything in our industry is paid, and often they're the most creative. And rightly or wrongly, they're not paid, but it is often because there is just no budget and nobody's getting paid. But what I've always done with my assistants is, if, like, I've worked on so many free things, and you learn as well which things are genuinely creative and which someone's just took advantage. Unfortunately, there is that sort of shady side. But personally, what I've done and what and how it worked for me is that anything I worked on for free or assisted someone for free, I would always get first option on the next big paid job. So I've always tried to do that kind of thing with my own team, to make sure, because, you know, you've got something that might be maybe corporate and might not be so creative but has the money behind it, so then you can pay everybody. And then you've got something that's got tons of glitter and hair pieces and all sorts of phenomena, but it's everyone's pure passion project, so there's nothing in there, but you can really cure that creative itch. Probably be prepared to make social sacrifices for your own social life. I mean, as I said, it's a really social job, and sometimes things will overrun, so you will be late to things. You might have to miss out on family birthdays, your own birthday, or, I mean, I've had phone calls when I've been at the airport on my way to a holiday that I've booked, and then they've been like, we need you for this huge job. And then there's that moral dilemma. Do I go on holiday and have a lovely time, which I've saved up all year for, or do I, you know, and then it's that sort of thing. Like, it will always happen. And you always get that freelance fear, like, oh, if I say no, I'll never get asked again. And, you know, you totally will. And not to be afraid when you're starting out that if you say no, you'll never get asked. You will. There's enough work for everybody, I believe. And, you know, once you've got your sort of support network, other assistants or other newbies, you can be passing on jobs, letting people know about other events. There might be a PR event, or it might be an industry thing, it might be a launch. You know, I've met some brilliant people through going to launches that I was lucky enough to be invited to early doors, and, you know, we're still in touch. And it's just about that creating. And then as you steadily over the years you keep going, you don't realize how far you've come. And then it is only when someone like yourself says, should we do an Insta Live? You're like, oh, really? Me? Oh, okay. So it's, and, you know, before you know it, 1 year's gone, 2 years gone, 10 years have gone, 12, you know, I think it's a marathon, not a race with this job. And to not be afraid, like, to give it a go, especially with makeup. What's the worst that can happen? The eye doesn't look right, take it off, you know. Hair, be careful with cutting and colouring, like, maybe a bit more. But other than that, yeah, not to be afraid, like, just give someone, it's very subjective, this industry. Everyone's got an opinion, and sometimes it's about finding your tribe, for want of a cliche. You know, I know that there's a number of things that I did when I was first starting out that a lot of people didn't get. I really believed in it, and then slowly I found like my tribe of like-minded viewpoints that are like, oh man, I love that idea. And then, you know, as you do more, as you develop your skills, you do find that you've not put a boundary on yourself, but you suddenly know, right, especially with celebrity stuff, this works for them. That what you start to understand what's appropriate in the overall scheme, rather than doing, say, just a beauty shoot where you can have full control, full freedom. But yeah.
So I guess it's all about kind of building the foundation. So with your education, with your network, assisting, so everything that you can do.
Yeah, and I think not to be disheartened at the beginning. You know, it does take time, and we're in a generation now where we are used to everything happening immediately, and like so, and actually it still doesn't really happen. You might get one really lucky break with a shoot, and your followers go up and whatever, and then suddenly you might not work again for the next 6-7 months, and you don't know why. It's just the nature of how this industry is, and it isn't so much an instant success. It is really keep going. There'll be very quiet times, and then there'll be hugely busy times where you're wishing for that quiet few days, and you're thinking, oh, if only I just need a couple of days, and then suddenly it's, you know, then you've got those quiet days, and then you're like, oh, I need to be working, and it's a weird like hamster wheel,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's
it's a crazy industry, but it's a brilliant industry at the same
yeah,
time. I mean, we've already spoken about Fashion Week, haven't we? But
yeah.
what would you say kind of was your one most memorable moment from your career
God,
to date?
I've been so fortunate in my job. I mean, you know, not all of it's luck. There's a lot of hard work and there's been a lot of sacrifice, but it's really hard to choose just one. So I would say um, the travel aspect that I've been exposed to from working on when I joined the Olympic team. I had a random phone call really late at night, just when London had been announced to host the Olympics, and I thought it was a spoof call, to be honest. I think it was like kind of like a robotic sounding, "Hey ma'am," blah, 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 blah. And I was like, it's 10:30 at night, what's this? It turns out it was my now kind of client that I work for on the Olympics. So I've done London. Through them, I got requested to go back and do Russia Winter Olympics, Rio Summer Olympics, and Pyeongchang Winter Olympics in 2018. And that, to be immersed in that world and be around all these other, you know, albeit in a sporting scenario, but these athletes and these people who've strived so hard and they've achieved like the best of their sort of level, and then they're competing for their country, and there's this like, it's this crazy bubble in a phenomenal country, and I get to be part of that. And you know, I was actually supposed to be in Japan this year with the team, so we're hoping, fingers crossed, that next year it'll all go ahead. But to have that opportunity, it is live TV. So when they say they need to be on TV, and this is where Fashion Week and that kind of time pressure really helps, because you're like, sorry, okay. And you have to get out of the way because everything's rolling, so there's that crazy adrenaline, but also just getting the chance to see a little bit of these amazing countries and meeting those people around the world that you might not have been able to before.
What
So I think
opportunity for you. Amazing.
yeah, I mean, I really love it. And it's, you know, it's sort of 6 weeks of 16-hour days every single day, and then so that work-wise it's quite brutal, but you get used to that routine. And but at the same time, you're drinking in all of the sites, you're working with international other brains and other creatives, and again, it's really good learning. You're meeting all these fantastic kind of athletes if you're into sport, and then the buzz of doing something that, if you know, I do love sport, so it's really rewarding on so many levels. And then, you know, just on pure selfish pleasure, being able to go to wander around with my colleagues in Brazil at night and accidentally join a street party, like just by wandering down the wrong street, and then trying all of the different Brazilian food and various cocktails, and then, you know, going back to work the next day and be like, this is, you know, couldn't have dreamed that this would be happening when I first began this crazy job. You know, you're testing and you're, oh, I've got no money coming in and I'm going to live on cornflakes for a month, and then, you know, fast forward a good while later, and then like these things happening.
Yeah, on top of all that, you're traveling the world, which
yeah,
is such a luxury, isn't it?
it's such a luxury. It really is.
And also meeting lots of cool people as well. So I think that goes on to our next question about your kind of most memorable client. You probably have quite a few, to be honest.
Yes. I was looking at, I was thinking about who I've worked with, and well, as you said so nicely, thanks, in your introduction, there's quite a roll call actually of names, and I can't quite believe that myself. But I will say, one of the things that I think really was a pinch me moment, because I admire her immensely as an actor anyway, and then to work with her, she's an absolute dreamboat. And it's a bit of a fangirl moment really, is Olivia Colman. Lucy Boynton, I've been working with for a few years. Emma Mackey also, and then they're sort of my longer term, and Florence Pugh, and I've been working with those doing like makeup and hair, which is a real treat. Sometimes you do one or the other, sometimes you do both, and so it's really exciting watching their careers kind of grow. And well, some of them have had stratospheric rises, and then I've been fortunate enough as well to work with some really talented actors and musicians: Kano, Ashley Walters, Michael Ward, Liam Hemsworth. Like sometimes you think I get to call this my job, and you can't quite believe that it is this lovely job. They're like some of the real highlights of over the years of who I've worked with. Oh my word. And then last year I worked with Twiggy, which was
an icon.
Twiggy, like, wow, yeah, so a real icon. And then Serena Williams, and again, all of these really talented people, and you think you're an absolute master in your field, and I get to hang out with you and do something because you also think that I'm good enough to do that for it's quite humbling, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a real.
Steph's just said what an amazing list of clients. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I know.
So let's move on then to kind of products in your kit.
Yes.
So are there some products that you always carry with you without fail?
100%. And I think, oh my gosh, I think I speak for a number of my makeup and hair friends when I say, when it comes, say, for brushes, for example, got loads of brushes that I've built up over the years, both hair and makeup, that come with me regardless on every job, even if they're not going to get used, just because I love them so much, and they're almost a bit of a talisman. So they just come for a holiday. They just come, and it makes me feel good that knowing they're there. Then because of the last few years I have travelled so much, I've worked at looking at what kind of brands and products that are easy to travel with and won't have that kit explosion when you've opened it up. And actually, I think, and how we came to start working together was through Mavala mini polishes, and it's still one of my favorite nail brands. They're so tiny, and they're so like, I'm bringing a couple of my favorites out because I used Roma on, and it's still probably one of my like favorite. I don't know if you can see this.
Stunning.
I love it. Roma and Budapest. Like, I think if you had to have a classic nude and a classic red, for me, they're my go-to, and they come everywhere. And also because they're so great, I love those Mavala polishes. They're portable, they're little, the pigment's amazing. I'll always have like a face spritz. I just like to use that on a client to kind of start the treatment and set the scene, as it were, and to keep them calm. And it's like a nice way. And then do a face massage. What else do I? Goodness.
It's probably so many.
there's you know what? It's actually I've got better over the years at being brutal with myself. What do I really need? But like, I love highlighter products. So I've got a variation, all different textures, from sticks to liquids to powders, but there's a ton that come with me. I've got some cream. I really like working with creams, and again, partly because of traveling so much, and also that I was able to decant them into those sort of moody containers or view set containers. So, and it makes it a lot more lightweight. You can carry just so many more. So they always come. My cream colours, partly as well because if you know your colour theory, then you might not need 29 red lipsticks, and I have probably that, but you can mix up the perfect shade with just a couple of colours. And a lot of multi products like NARS do fantastic cheek and lip, so does Chanel. They're just two brands off the top of my head, like Anastasia and Milk and Glossier all have, and Kiko has a really good like multi-use, and you can dab them on. And with makeup particularly, or same with hair products too, like just because they say it should go to a specific area, it doesn't mean it has to. Like, this is the freedom you get as a creative artist. you can put lipstick on eyelids if you so wish, and you can use serum when the hair's like really wet, or when it's already got a number of other products on, but just because the instructions say, oh no, only use it when it's dry and just at the ends and whatnot. So you can play around with those textures and see what effects that you get, and then you start to really learn your products and learn how to mix up colours, so that if someone did say to you, oh, I really think we need this colour, and you're panicking because it's not in your kit, and then you think, oh, and even actually with, you know, nail polishes, you can mix up those colours and create that shade. So it's not about just once you've, after this, I think this came to me like a few years in, when I started experimenting and thinking, oh, I don't need to have all of the lip pencils and all of the hair products. Like, if I just work out like this, a volumizing hairspray is also very good for this. Oh, okay, great. Like, I don't need 4 types of hairspray in my kit when I go out on a job. And knowing my brushes and what does what and what I can get away with, and going back to things like Fashion Week, that's where you learn some really great shortcuts and new techniques, or old techniques as well, that you might not have known, but that artist that you're assisting that day is, you know, that's come from the 50s, 60s or whatever, and you've like gleaned this nugget of information that you can take out with you on another job. So yeah, there's they're probably, I'd say, cream colours, and then my mini nail polishes, like 100%, and a face spritz. And currently, I don't know if you guys have used this little guy from West Barn, but it's oh my word, it's watermelon face spritz. It's just, it's divine. I ended up getting one for me because like, why not? And you know, one's in my kit. Yeah, so just to spritz away, it's this sort of cheeky, but it feels a bit of luxury as well at the moment. So yeah,
I guess it's all about kind of streamlining as much as possible, isn't it?
definitely. I think when you start out, you're so excited. And I again, name me one creative that is not a, you know, magpie when it comes to products. We all get excited by packaging, by labels, by new launches, by a new format of a product, and then we want it. And then or that you're on a job and you see someone you admire has this product or this brush, and you think, I need it, and you don't even know why you need it, you just need it. So then you get everything, and you buy all of the things, and you create this huge wardrobe of kit, and then over the time you're like, oh, I'm always only using these 4 products. Oh, and you've got this glorious looking stock cupboard, and then you become more confident over time of what you really like. And of course that you're always excited to hear what's new, and also for your clients, if you're doing certain brands, you know, the movement is towards a more clean beauty where possible, more sustainable and vegan. So there are clients that will request certain brands. So then you adapt and tailor your kit to that. Or if you are vegan yourself and that's your own ethos, then like by all means that's what you sort of go towards, and you do end up streamlining it. But I think everyone starts on that same journey by getting super excited. You're just about to start your journey in the industry. You get everything because everyone else has got these products, so therefore there's a reason why. And then there's the classic favourites that, you know, a Denman brush or like Embryolisse or Bioderma. And then also what your influencers are telling you, like certain eyeshadow palettes or highlighter palettes, and you think, oh, I need that because they've got that. And then as you go confident in your own abilities, you're like, actually, I can get that by using this little favourite. I'm going to stick with this guy. So, you know, you start making those little judgments of, well, I don't need that anymore. I mean, it's a nice to have, but you start knowing yourself a little bit, I suppose.
And that, I guess, comes with time and experience, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, it's fun making the mistakes and buying all, and seeing what effects certain products have and don't have. But, you know, even as a consumer, I'm sure that all our bathroom cabinets are full of products. We're like, oh my gosh, it's a vitamin C, whatever does this. It's got some hyaluronic and some collagen, and I need it. And then you get it and you're like, well, I don't really like that. And then it stays there unloved for, you know, months or something. So, you know, we're all kind of guilty of that sort of, but then that's good marketing and PR, I suppose, as well. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it kind of goes without saying that this year's been quite tough for the beauty
Yeah.
industry, and I mean, it's been lovely though to see everyone come together and supporting each other, and then that, you know, that reflects back to what you were saying about, you know, being such a collaborative industry. But
Mm.
with us finally seeing maybe a little bit of light at the tunnel, what's next for you? What have you got coming up?
Um, so what's really nice is that legally we're allowed to work again after quite a long time. And I think that was really infuriating for the industry and one of the catalysts for beauty to come together more than probably it has. Hair generally is a much more collaborative industry because often with hair you do work in pairs. So you're all already kind of geared up for that. But as beauty, it is much more of a solo, you are just on your own. And then seeing, you know, these hundreds of thousands of mainly women just being penalised for doing this lovely job, when we've got hygiene at our core training,
Absolutely.
it was really frustrating. So it was nice, and then we were finding, you know, different ways around it of how to try and be useful during the time of being unable to work. So sort of offering our time and services sort of free of charge to do one-to-one appointments for the NHS, and some charity work. So I do have a couple of projects that I can't go into full details yet, that are coming up, that are very exciting. And it's more about, I suppose in one way, more about supporting the industry more. So that's something, it's coming to fruition probably in a couple of months. And then I'm part of a collective. We work annually. It's called the annual beauty sale, and we do it on behalf of Choose Love, and the founders of that are Verity Cumming and Una Anderson, and I've been part of that for 5 years. And what it is basically is a collective of hair and makeup artists and everybody that we know within the industry. We donate products that are new, and we sell them annually in December. Anyone's welcome, and every single proceed goes to raising money for refugees, for Foundation for Change. So normally it's now about the time that we would start doing the collections and getting the sale ready. And last year we raised something like £40,000, and that went immediately to, you know, the Choose Love charity. And it's a really nice, it's normally in December, sort of first weekend. It's quite time consuming, because you can imagine this. It is a beauty junkie's dream, like men, women, everybody. Obviously, this year we've got a few considerations to try and figure out how to work around it with COVID. So we're probably going to do like a digital sale, but so that's coming, that will be coming up, and everything will be sold at like 75% off. So, you know, you can get some real bargains there. It's usually a really good social event too, a bit of a Christmas shop. So that's coming. Hopefully, I've just come back from Venice Film Festival, and I think Venice going ahead was a real test in the water. And fingers crossed, it means that London Film Festival might go ahead. I think that they're just going to see if there's any spike in rises, but you know, as an industry, so I've got that in my diary. And I'm keeping everything crossed that we're still allowed to work on that, because that's normally a really exciting time and a bit of buzz around London. And again, obviously with sort of some precautions this year, but that's coming up. And quite frankly, I can't believe it's like the end of September already.
Crazy.
So there's a few things. Fashion Week is happening. It's actually it's London this week, so it's a mix of digital and real life. And then there'll be Milan and Paris. And then, they're just, say I've got a personal project that I'll be bringing that is related to the industry, but I don't want to jinx anything just yet. So that's coming up, which I'm excited about. And then I'm probably going to learn a bit more about
social media and tech, so that maybe I could do a video or something later.
Good, you're brilliant, honestly. Oh, well, we'll be keeping our eyes open and
thank you.
all the fun stuff you're up to.
Thank
Thank you so much, Alexis.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so excited.
Inspiring.
Oh, thank you. I'm really, really touched that you even wanted to have a chat with me, to be honest. So thank you very much. Like, you guys have supported me kind of for quite a few years, you know, and that is so, it's so lovely. So thank you, because it's, you know, it's kind of your beauty support too. It really helps all of us freelancers, and gives us exposure to great products as well, and like learn, you know, because we can get stuck in our ways, and we can just get stuck to one brand, and actually it's really good to see what else is happening and what else is out there. So, and it's just so nice. Like, again, it's a real treat to be introduced to those sorts of things through what you do. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Well, I hope you have a good day, and
thank you.
good luck with all your London Fashion Week things and everything you've got coming up. And yeah, we'll catch up soon.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Sophie.
Thanks so much. Thanks everyone else for joining.
Thanks everyone for joining. I'm really, thank you.
Bye everybody.